Where is he?
He's gone.
What happened?
It's over.
What?
Is he dead?
The temporal radiation is just too high.
What did we do wrong?
I don't know. What happened? I don't know. I don't know.
In today's video, we're going to talk about Loki Season 2 and how Loki Season 2 is realistically going to set up the future of the MCU for the next couple of years because, let's be honest, Loki is realistically the only connection we have to the multiverse storyline at the moment, and Loki is essentially going to be pinnacle to everything, but we've always known that, but we've never really had confirmation or affirmation. So Marvel's doing something really weird at the moment. So not only are they literally confirming all the leaks and showing you parts of tears and parts of incursions in the most recent trailer for the Marvels, which is very misleading because it has you believe the Ben is some kind of Thanos level threat when realistically she's not at all. I get it. There's some kind of connection. She's after materials and life and Earth resources, if you like. But they dropped a trailer for the mid-season of Loki. How is it mid-season when we've had episode 4, there's 2 episodes left, when it's not mid-season, we're 2/3 into it already. So the mid-season trailer basically confirms Geeky Cast leaks are true and that Geeky Cast should be put up there with some of the best scoopers because he actually gets information pretty much bang on. Although he's not actually a scooper, he does report stuff when he gets information. He more kind of critiques other people's information to see if it's true or not and keeps receipts. So this trailer basically reveals a big spoiler. Why do Marvel do this? Now, I think Marvel's doing this because the ratings for Loki aren't very good, but that's just like the whole Marvel genre or Marvel niche as it is at the moment isn't very good because, let's be honest, Marvel seems to be pushing some kind of narrative at the moment that the general audience doesn't like. And let's remember, even when it comes to Disney Plus, the general audience will make or break Disney's profit margin. So if you're new around, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Kaiju, Monsterverse, Marvel, DC, pop culture based content that I try to cover personally on a daily basis, talking into the SM7B short microphone. Also, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Also, check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. I don't get much traffic on there because I haven't paid for the tick, and I've realized since the tick came out, my traffic is literally, I don't tweet much, but my traffic has literally gone down to 10% of what it was before when I tweeted. So yeah, follow us over there. So let's break it down. So the Geekcast said this, and this is worth noting, he said this before anybody else. This made its way over to the Reddit, to the Marvel Studios spoiler Reddit, which is more reliable than any Twitter scoopers. And if you actually look what Twitter scoopers are saying, realistically, what do? They literally rip information off the spoilers subreddit for their own information. So I've seen other people claiming that this came from My Time to Shine, but no, this came from the Geeky Cast 1000%. He said it first, and other people basically just ripped it off him. So he said the next episode is hectic. Now, one of the other wannabe scoopers said it's a filler episode. Don't understand how the next episode is hectic. We go through the timeline and find out what they were all doing before they were taken and mind wiped. B-15, a Dr. Casey prisoner, and Mobius selling jet skis in Cleveland. How is backstory filler? Backstory gives context for the overall narrative. I get it. You're from the TikTok generation. You want the cameos, but you want all these cameos, but every episode cannot be full of dramatic drama, especially after that ending that took Victor Timely away forever. No, because there's the branch reality, then there's a sacred timeline. Victor Timely and other variants of Kang will still appear in the main narrative going forward. So next episode does seem pretty cool. So a lot of people seem to think the ending of Loki has basically wiped out every character, including Loki, Tom Hiddleston, and Sylvie and Mobius that were actually in the last episode. No, that's not really the case. I mean, the mid-season trailer has basically confirmed that every single character will return, including Victor Timely. So I don't know who to give creditation for this. Normally I don't give creditation because, let's be honest, everyone just rips stuff off Reddit, especially these wannabe scoopers. So, Avengers Prime! Loki is gonna become Avengers Prime! That's the biggest conspiracy theory going around. God of Stories Loki! Who is Avengers Prime? So, the narrative is that Loki is gonna save the multiverse. But your boy, I'm not saying I said this first, but your boy, Warstu, literally put a video up a few weeks ago discussing how Loki was gonna essentially save everyone. So the title of that video was Loki to Save Everyone 3 weeks ago. So yeah, Warstu said that. So the premise of Avengers Prime essentially being where they're going with Avengers 5 and 6, there is a lot of precedence to this because it actually does make sense, because Loki is really the only person who knows exactly what's going on outside of Scott Lang. Loki recently became Avengers Prime, the leader of the multiverse. Avengers against a horde of Doctor Superior Destiny of the multiverse in the MCU. Okay, that's in the comics, obviously. Here's the only one who knows about the real threat of Avengers Secret War. Here's the hero wanted to protect the multiverse. He needs to be the leader. Okay, this is a theory, realistically, but in the comics, there's a panel where Loki's like, Avengers assemble! So Loki is essentially going to become the hero and most likely won't die. But what is interesting is, according to rumors and rumblings that I've been sent over the last few weeks, if not longer than that, is before Ant-Man 3, allegedly Loki was going to be the villain of everything, which is kind of wild. So there's this image going around that basically shows Loki at the end of time, and everyone online. I mean, and like I said, I'm not going to take creditation like this is my own idea, because let's be honest, there are no original ideas on the internet. But everyone's saying, yo, this affirms and confirms that Avengers Prime Loki will be in the season finale of the show. So what is interesting is, if we go by the original ideas of what was going to happen at the end of Loki season 2, the original idea was as follows. A lot of people online were saying that at the Citadel, at the end of time, there was going to be an older version of Sylvie. But that's basically being debunked massively, like 10 times over already. So a lot of people don't know this. Kevin Feige actually overlooks everything. Not just the movie side, he overlooks everything now. So, and Kevin Feige has always said on record that eventually they want the comics to coincide somehow with the MCU canon. So the fact that Kevin Feige is overlooking everything, and the fact that Avengers Prime recently-ish has been a huge thing, it's looking very evident based on the image. Yo, editor Warstu put it up now. This image does basically, this is the end of Loki season 2, apparently, which is kind of interesting. So something that a lot of people are not realizing is the following, is if the TVA is essentially destroyed, there is no need for the TVA. So according to everything that's out there at the moment, by the end of Loki season 2, there would be no TVA. But the premise is that after episode 5 and 6, would be out of this time loop, and then we'd go back to the fractured sacred timeline. But the idea is the TVA is going to be recruiting heroes for said multiverse for Kang. But if the TVA is destroyed, who the hell in the TVA is going to be doing it? So Deadpool is all about the TVA picking up the prime version of each hero to create a multiversal army to fight Kangs. And they picked up Hugh Jackman Wolverine to recruit, but he's not fully on board. And that's what Deadpool 3 is about. But everyone is going with this TVA storyline, TVA. But the TVA is already smashed up in episode 4. So the TVA will pretty much be destroyed by the end of episode 6, which is only 2 episodes away. But if we do go over, I'm not going to overlay them, but you've obviously seen the images from the behind the scene images from Deadpool 3. Now, we have a lot of images and video clips. I won't put them here because apparently some people got copyright claims for using the footage that was posted. But there is scenes and set pieces that looks pretty similar to The Void, looks pretty similar to where the TVA was-ish. So it's pretty damn wild that Loki was the villain, essentially, of Avengers before he pieced out, and that's how the TVA picked him up initially. And now it looks like he's going to be charging the Avengers into Secret Wars as Avengers Prime, because Loki is a badass, and it will be a full circle moment. And everyone seems to think that Loki and Thor are going to reunite at Secret Wars, and then this time round, Thor's going to die instead of Loki. I think the whole Thor and Loki dying, it is kind of redundant and kind of weird at this point. But the biggest problem and issue I have is no one actually knows what timeline is running at the moment. Sure, there's a fractured timeline. Sure, there's branch realities. But what I mean is what we've seen with Kang the Conqueror allegedly getting beat at the end of Ant-Man 3, when is that actually happening? Because we've got Loki season 2, which predominantly is in the past, and then they come back to whatever version of the present is, but time and space does not run concurrently when they're there, because the TVA is outside of time and space. It's like in its own reality. So no one has actually ever addressed where and when. Okay, we know where, but no one's actually ever addressed when in the timeline is Loki season 2. Is Loki season 2 taking place after Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, or is it taking place before? Now, I know a lot of people are going to make out, yo, that's such an obvious thing. That's such an obvious thing. And also, within the latest trailer for Loki, there is a scene that literally is like a moving image. You got lots of green things there. And it's like, yo, Loki's going to fix the timeline with his magic, become the god of stories, and then essentially become Avengers Prime. So it almost, and there is like images of his suit. It looks like that's where they're going. Now, you know me, I'm not the biggest comic book person, but I understand the premise of what Avengers Prime is and where they're going in the comics and how this could correlate to what's going to happen in the MCU. But if you keep going back to this image, which will be in the thumbnail, it appears that at the end of Loki season 2, we will have a version of Loki who's at the end of time controlling the TVA, or the TVA won't actually exist. I don't know. It's hard to tell because the TVA can't be involved with Deadpool 3 and co, etc. if there is no TVA. So I guess you could say that Loki is going to become He Who Remains, but I'm not saying he's a Kang variant. It just looks like they're setting up Loki to be in control, or at least appear at the end of time, almost reminiscent of the end of season 1 of Loki. And also the very unreliable Twitter scooper posted something that doesn't necessarily mean they're right. I mean, occasionally, if they keep chucking out, occasionally they get one where it says, oh, what comes next? Hey, my name is Loki. I am the god of stories. Nice multiverse you have here. Mind if I come in? I mean, I know I give these fake Twitter scoop, but occasionally they get stuff right. Loki Who Remains, that could be where they're going. Loki is a hero, but he's also a villain. He's like an anti-hero. So it'd be interesting because we've seen Loki time slip throughout this show. It's going to be very interesting. So that is where the premise of where they're going, that Loki is going to be the savior of the Avengers. He's going to become Avengers Prime, and it's not going to be Spider-Man Tom Holland like everyone thought. Spider-Man can't do against Kang. Like, let's just be honest. But a magical god of mischief could. But it's interesting. Like I say, I'm not saying Loki becomes Avengers Prime, but he could. And if it is tied to Deadpool 3, the TVA realistically has to somehow exist post Loki season 2, which is interesting. But what I find more interesting is no one is talking about Kang's Dynasty, because it's all like, yeah, recruiting the Prime version of each person to create an army to fight against Kang the Conqueror. The film is expected to lead directly into Avengers Secret Wars. Okay, but do they skip Kang's Dynasty? This is what I don't get, is flawed in everyone's logic, is no one is talking about what leads into the Kang's Dynasty. They're not going to skip it, or they might skip it. A lot of people online, I do read the Twitter chatter, I mean, I don't really take much notice of it because it's just people make. But Kang's Dynasty has to happen. They're not going to go straight from Deadpool 3 straight into Secret Wars, although they could. But the Avengers have to lose massively in order to set something up because there has to be a real stake. And this is the real issue at the moment in Marvel, why no one cares, is because they have no characters that people really care for, and there's no real stake because no one really dies, realistically. So I guess what I'm saying is Loki is replacing Tony Stark Iron Man. Cool. Okay, Avengers Prime is coming, and potentially you're going to see him in the season finale of Loki. Also, apparently Deadpool could be set up at the end of that because he needs to be arrested in order to set up Deadpool 3 in a roundabout way. And just to be clear, I don't even know why I need to say this. Deadpool 3 is a movie about Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not necessarily a Deadpool movie. It's not necessarily a Wolverine movie. It's a movie about them two becoming bros. And also, apparently, the Echo trailer is going to drop sometime this week. But no one actually cares, so I'm not going to make an independent video because no one cares about Echo. They might as well can it. So like always, guys, let us know, is Loki really going to save the Avengers and become Avengers Prime? Well, that teaser trailer basically tells you that. It's going to be very interesting. Make sure to check out Geeky Cast. The boy gets information right, and you got to give credit where credit is due. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter, STG. I know I'll catch you in another video, guys, very soon. Catch you later.